Sorry, this video took a while to make. Hey there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. In today's episode, we're gonna create a full stack React app using Firebase. We're gonna create this awesome messaging board here where you can leave your thoughts about anything that you want, and it's public, everyone can see. But we're gonna make an auth system with the dashboard where you can go in and create a new post and edit the post and also delete it. Not only that, on the post, people can leave comments as well. My God, so much going on. Isn't this exciting? So, if this doesn't make you subscribe, then I don't know what will. It's a 3-hour video on a full stack course. Sub now. So sit back, grab a popcorn, check out the courses down below, and let's get going. Hello, so let's get cracking. We're gonna start this completely from scratch so you can follow along, enjoy it, and it's gonna be a long one, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so we're gonna start off with next.js. So that's gonna be our front-end framework. So if we scroll down here on next.js.org, we can head over to documentation and we can use this little command here to get it up and running. So in VS Code, if we open up a new terminal, we can run npx create next app, and we'll call this creative thoughts. It's not correct. Let's just say creative rights. There we go, rename that. Okay, cool. So then we press Y for yes to install it. And that should be pretty much it. Next up, we are going to use Tailwind for styling. And the only reason I'm going to go with this one now is because it's super quick, so we can just focus on the logic. So here, again, we can go to framework guides, next.js, and we can paste this command here that they have up here. So let's copy those two over. Okay, let's go back here. So now we just need to go in this folder that we just made. There we go, paste. And that should make the config file here for us as well. All right, and that's pretty much it. Then we can run npm run dev to get the server up and running. Click on local hosts. Let's close this up, make some space. I'm gonna put this here so you can always look at it and just make it really small like that. Perfect. Okay, step one, get rid of shite. So let's go over to our pages, index. So this is our home page basically, right? Index.js is always gonna be our home directory. So yeah, if you go to /about index.js or whatnot, then if you have a about.js, then it's gonna head over there. But index is the root one. So let's get rid of stuff. Let's get rid of this import statement here. Let me make more space so you can see. Get rid of this image tag as well. Cool, and then we'll clear this out. All of these class names can be cleared out. Then let's just get rid of everything in this main. So clear out everything, just have a main tag here, footer. Goodbye, footer, we don't need you. Okay, nice and clean. So the first thing I want to do is make like a wee nav bar. But what I want to also do is have that nav bar basically render out in every page that I have. So that's going to be our first step to do. So let's head over to our folders, and in the root directory, we're going to make a new folder, clicking there, and we're going to call this components like that. Okay, and then here we're going to make a new file, and let's call this nav.js. Lovely. So for this one, let's see what we're going to do. We're going to create a export default function nav like that. Okay, and here we're going to return some JSX. So let's just add a div here and say h1 nav. All right. And that's it. So now we can use this anywhere in our project. But what I want to do actually is add it to a layout. So let's create a new component for that. And for this one, we're going to need to have a specific name. Actually, we don't. I'm silly. Let's just call it layout.js like that. Cool. So what we need to do here is just import nav. All right, the one that we just made. and then create another function, export default function layout. Okay, and I'm gonna add curly brackets because you're gonna see why in a bit. And here we're gonna return. Just gonna make a div. And basically I wanna render out the nav here. And what I wanna render out here is all the different pages, right? So we have the nav and then the home page, maybe the dashboard, maybe the edit page, whatnot. So the way you do this is you make a layout, you add the component basically that you want always to be there. And then down here, you can import something from the props called children, right? And if I pass down children here, so I can make a main tag and add children in here. Now, anything that I wrap around this layout tag, it's gonna render out whatever is in here. So for example, if I go back to, where is it? Our app here, right? If I wrap my layout around this component, so this component is basically all the different pages we have in our app, like index and about and dashboard. So if I wrap it around that, and let's actually do that now. Let's import layout like that. If I go down here, and I'll make sure you add also pair of parentheses, open that up, put this in here, and then wrap your layout around it like that. Okay, so this is basically children here. All right, so this is the children. It's gonna go in the layout, it's gonna render out the nav, and then render out whatever dynamic content page we have here. Okay, cool, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, what do we need to do next? Oh, there we go, we can see nav, that's pretty cool. Lovely. Okay, so let's just make sure we have everything nice and right. So, let's maybe start doing like fonts and everything else like that. Because I don't think we need to touch this layout ever again, so we can close it up. This nav, we're gonna need to come back here because we're gonna have the users and everything. And this is fine as well, so we can close that up too. Okay, so let's start adding our fonts. So how do we do that? Well, what we need to do actually, first of all, is find the font. So let's go over to Google Fonts, make this bigger, open it up, and we're gonna use, let's get rid of all of these. We're gonna use Poppins, that's fine. So if you wanna go and select it here, that's fine. I actually got rid of both accidentally. So let's remove all, search up Poppins, click. What is this? Jesus. Where do you select it? They keep changing stuff. It's annoying me. I need to have a word with the Google people. Oh, here I go. Let's select regular. Let's select medium. And let's select maybe bold. Cool. So I'm going to copy this over. Now, where the heck do I paste this in? Well, in next.js, if you want to add something to your root document, what you can do is make a special file called _document. Okay, and the way you do that is in Pages, make a new file, say _document.js. Okay, so what do we need to do here? Well, it's just better to really Google this and copy paste it, to be honest. So let's go to Google and search next.js document.js. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is go here, and as you can see, this one is the default one, but we need to go down all the way. Where is it? Actually, I think this will just do fine. So let's copy and paste this over, paste it here. All right, and now in this head tag, we can add our Google Fonts. So let's just expand this head document. Not like that. There we go. expand it like that. And in here, we can paste in our fonts. Here we go. So let's copy paste this over. Minimize that. Actually, let's head back over here. Minimize, paste, save. Error? Why is it erroring out? Don't worry, I got you. Just add a slash at the back of these. Okay, slash, slash. And hit save again, and that should be fine. There we go, cool. Okay, now that we have our links in here, we need to hook it up with Tailwind so we can actually import that style. So if we head over to our Tailwind config here, all right, so when we did the npm Tailwind blah 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 command, whatever it was called, it made this Tailwind config file for us. So let's head in here, and here in the extend, we can add a font. Actually, we need to do a bit more here, so we need to head back to the Tailwind. Let's just copy paste this config here over. Okay, so copy that, paste that over. You can pause the video for this if you want, or you can go over to Tailwind docs. Okay, time's up. That's all you had. And then we also need to add this Tailwind base components and utilities to our global CSS. So just go to the top here, paste it in, and hit save. We'll remove this weird font family as well from here. Everything else can stay the same. This, oh, fucking get rid of it. Okay, cool. We can also delete this home modules. We don't need that either. Oh, I deleted the wrong thing. No. Is there a way to get this back? Yes, there is. Haha. Look at that. Quick trick. Okay, home module, delete. Cool. So let's paste that back in there. Copy, paste, save. Get rid of this. Perfect. Cool. Okay, so to add the font family here, we can extend this theme and say font family, and that's an object. Call this Poppins, like that, and hit save. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Might need to restart the server. I'm not sure, but let's just do it just in case. Okay, we can close the docs here. We can close this next thing. And yeah, we should be good to go. So yeah, let's try adding the style now. So let's head over to maybe our layout and see if everything works. So let me make a bit more space. And yeah, let's head over here and say class name. And we're gonna say margin x6. All right, there we go, works. Look, it added a bit of margin. And then for medium-sized screens, let's do MX V2XL. All right, that's gonna add even more margin. So if we go to bigger size, what did I mess up? A MD MX auto. All right, so it centers it automatically for us. It doesn't do it. Why don't you do it? MD MX. Oh, not MX. Max width. There we go. So now when it gets to this width here, okay, you just don't want to work, do you? MD MX. Okay, let's add the background of red to this. Background red 50. All right, we can see it there. Cool. So let's make, oh, there we go. It works. So it limits the max width basically when the screen gets bigger. So then what we can do is say MD MX auto like that, which is going to center it for us. Okay, there we go. That works. Okay, I don't really want to focus on bigger screens anyway, but let's see if that font Poppins works. So we can say font Poppins. Yay, it does. Perfect. Okay, styling done, layout done. We can slowly get into our functionality. So we are going to be using Firebase for this. So let's head over to Firebase, and you can create a new project if you click here. I I reach my maximum limit, but just add your project name here. It's just going to be continue, nothing too crazy. I have a previous video on it where we add the auth if you want to check that out. But it's really simple. You should just be able to click continue, and then you're going to be basically arriving at this dashboard here. Okay, well, what you're going to get is basically a config file as well that you can paste into your code. So if you skip through it accidentally, that's fine. We can still get it. I think it's if we click on settings here and scroll down. Yeah, there we go. You should be able to get this config file here. Okay, so the first step that we need to do is do an npm install Firebase. And the reason why we're using Firebase as well is because it has pretty much everything that we need, from authentication with Google to doing any crud operations that we want. It's just really good. So let's kill the server and say npm I Firebase. Take a sip of my juice real quick. Delicious. Cool. This is taking a long time, isn't it? Lovely, done. So now that we have that installed, we need to basically initialize this project. So, this Firebase thing. So the way you do it is you make a new file in the root directory called, we can make actually a folder called utils, and then in here make a new file called firebase.js. Perfect. All right, what do we need to do here? Well, we basically need to configure it with this project. So let's make this smaller and say, yeah, basically copy everything over from there and paste it here like that. Okay, cool, and hit save. So we have that going, and then we have the Firebase config, and down here we're initializing the app. Now what I want to do from this file is basically export two things that we're going to need. One is authentication, and the other one is our database. Okay, so to do that, just go here to the top and say import get auth from Firebase. All right, this object is basically going to give us loads of information about the current user that's logged in. So if we want to check who's the current user, if we want to get any information from them, if we want to write to the database, this is where we get that info from. And this is how we also protect our routes. So we check if a user is logged in. If they're logged in, then they can do certain things. If they're not, then kick them out to the dumpster. And then we're going to import get Firestore from Firebase/Firestore. Cool. So Firestore is actually our database. So when we want to retrieve something from it or write to it or update, this is what we use. So now down here we can say export const auth is equal to get auth, like that. All right, so we're just invoking this function from up here and then exporting it so we can use it throughout our project. And then export const db is equal to get Firestore app, like that. Okay, so we exported everything. This is looking fine and dandy. Now, before we push our code up to the internet, we want to make sure we don't have all of these here like that. All right, because they're going to read it. They have access to your database, and that is not good. So what we need to do is create something called a .env file. .env.local. All right, that's how you make it in next.js. Let's say you push up your code to Vercel, right? You can add your environment variables in there. So it's basically a variable. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's just a variable. So the way you make it is you say next, public, and then whatever name you want. So in this case, we'll just do one for each. All right, so API key, we're gonna say API key like that. And we're gonna set this equal to, all right, and you don't need any strings or backticks or anything like that. You just pass in the code like this. Okay, cool. So now you need to do this for each and every one of them. So let's quickly do that. App ID. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is not to mess everything up here. Because if you have commas here at the end and strings, it's not gonna work. So make sure you delete these. All right, double check, please, please, please. I don't want to have 10 comments why this is not working. This is why it's not working. Double check your notations. And oh, one more. This needs to be equal here. Like that. Equal. Okay. And then here at the beginning, like that. Okay, that should be fine now. So now back here, what we can do is rather than passing the string down like this, we can say process.env. And then we can pass in this. All right, next public key. Okay, so again, since it's a variable, now when you push it up on the internet, this is what's going to show up. Process env next public API key. No one can do anything with that. But on the internet, right, you push it up to Vercel or something, you can add the actual string, the variable string, and pass it down to the project. And then it's just going to work. Cool. Oh, thank God. Okay, so that should be everything. All right, now one more thing we need to do in Firebase here is go here, and you should have a tab here called Authentication, okay? So make sure you turn this on here. Sign-in method, add a new provider, click on Google, turn that on, okay? Cool. And then we can go to Firestore Database. Make sure you enable this as well. So click turn on. Yeah, you're gonna have something called enable. And once you enable it, you should be presented with this. Now I have my data in here already, so I'll just quickly get rid of it. Delete. So you should have it like fresh like this as well now. Okay, nice and empty, perfect. And that should be pretty much it here. I don't think you need to do anything. We're gonna keep this tab open because we're gonna use it quite a bit. But yeah, let's start adding authentication. Let's start off with our nav. All right, we wanna have basically a button here that says, yo, you wanna log in real quick? Hopefully you do. So where is our nav? Let's see. Here in our components. Okay, so let's open that up. Perfect. Let's make more space here. Okay, so let's add a bit of styling in here. So we have so let's just change this from that to nav, like that. Okay, we're gonna go here and say class name. Let's add a bit of content first. We're gonna have a link, which is gonna be our added to our logo. So let's import link from next.js. All right, this is like an A tag basically. Paste that sucker in there, and we're gonna call this, let's just add a button here, creative thoughts, minds, whatever. Okay, cool. Let me run the server again. And here we're gonna say href to / like that. All right, so now whenever we click on the thing, why is this not working? Okay, that's compiled, refresh, there we go. Whenever we click on this, it's gonna take us back to our root folder. Nothing's gonna happen now because we're already there, but we added the functionality, cool. Next up, we are gonna have a UL tag here with a link. All right, and this is gonna take us, let's make one up, all right? Link. href, let's make it take us over to /auth/login, all right? That sounds pretty good. Perfect. Okay, what's the problem? Let's add an A tag in here. I think that's why it doesn't work. And we'll just say, let's get rid of that. Just say join now. There we go. So when we click on this, poof, look, we're taken to auth login. And then when we click created mines, we're taken back to the root folder. Perfect. And as you can see, our layout works as well, because when we click, it stays here on every page. Amazing. For styling, let's just add a flex here. Justify between. Item center. And a pi of 10. There we go. Just make it look a bit nicer. And for this one, let's add a class name of text large, font medium. Nice. For the UL, we're gonna add a class name of flex item center and a gap of 10. Like that, because we're gonna have multiple items in here in just a bit. For the A tag, class name of pi2, px4, text small. Let's add a background of cyan 500 to it. Text should be white, rounded LG, and font medium, ML8. If you want to learn more about Tailwind, I'm not going to cover too much because this video is going to be 10 hours long, but I just posted a video a week ago where we make a full React project with Tailwind, so check that out. So I'm just going to kind of go through it quickly because it doesn't matter as much, or you might use something else. You might not use Tailwind. Okay, so that's pretty much what we need now, because we're gonna have a dashboard and we're gonna have a button that says, "Hey, post something." But I don't want that to be visible here until the user's logged in. All right, so if the user is not logged in, they're gonna be presented with join now, and if they are, then with the other two. Okay, so that's all I need basically to take me to this page here, which we're gonna make now. So let's get back here, pages. All right, so we're going to /auth login, right? So basically what I need to do is in pages, we can also, let's delete this API because we don't need it. We need to make a folder called auth, all right? And in here, we need to make a file called login. And make sure you add like .js, right? Perfect. All right, so that basically takes us to /auth/login. All right, cool. Yeah, so let's make our we function here. Export, let me close this up. Export function, export default function, login. All right, cool. So let's start adding a bit of styling in here. I'm gonna say return. I'm gonna make a div, a h2 in here that says join today. I'm gonna have another div here. And a h3 saying sign in with one of the providers. So we might add more here in the future. I also added Google one, Facebook one in the other video. So if you want to check that out, we're just going to do Google here. Sign in with Google. Okay, that should be cool. So click join now, and there we go. That's our text right there. So let's add some styling to this. The top one should have a shadow of XL, empty of 32, which is margin top of 32, P of 10. All right. That's padding, text gray of 700, perfect, and rounded LG. Cool. The join today is gonna have a class name of text2xl. Okay, a font medium. And that's pretty much it. And then in this div, I'm gonna add a class name of py4. To separate it a bit. And the h3 is going to have a class name of py4 as well. And then let's make the button nice. So let's add a class name of text white. Okay, a BG gray F700. That looks ugly. A V full, to stretch it out. Let's do the font medium. Rounded LG. We're gonna add a display flex to this and align middle and a P of 4, like that. Because I want to also add a logo in here. So kill the server and say npm install react icons. I better be still filming. Yes, I am. Perfect. Okay, cool. npm run dev again. So we can import all kinds of different icons. If you want to head over and check them out, it's react icons. And then you can click here and you can explore all of these different ones. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna import the Google one that I found. So the way you do that is at the top here, just say import FC Google from React icons FC. All right, and the way this package works is, let me go back here. So if you like an icon here, like, I don't know, I'm searching for a Google icon, right? This is the one we got, but if you want to use this one, AI fill Google circle, you'd import AI fill Google circle and then react icons.ai. All right, so make sure you check the extension here that they use, because otherwise it won't work. All right, so react icons / whatever this starts with. AI, BS, this whole app is a BS, but FA, you get the point. Cool. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll just basically use it here next to the button. So we can say FC Google, like that. There it is. And then we can just make the font size a bit larger. So we can add a class name to this as well, text to Excel. And I just want to separate it a bit as well. So I can go to the button here, just add a gap of 2. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, so we have our styling and our text already, so we can start initiating our login process. Whew. Okay, what do we need to do? Well, let's go to the top here and import a couple of things. We're going to import something called sign in with pop-up from Firebase / auth. All right, this is the first thing we need, comma, Google auth provider. That's another one. I think that's it for now. So let's just keep these two. Okay. What else? What else? Yeah, I think that's it for now. So let's go here and say sign in with Google. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is initialize this Google provider from the package and say const Google provider, or create a variable, new Google auth provider, like that. Cool, and then we're gonna make a little function here called Google login. And set this equal to, it's gonna be an async function. So write it out like this, all right? This is a function, and this is an async one. Because it might take some time for the authentication flow to go through, and it might take a bit of time for you to get the user back. So we're using async pretty much. Cool. So we're gonna try, because that's the only thing we can do. Let's try. We're gonna try to sign in, and we can catch an error if we have an error. All right, so we're gonna create another variable called result. We're gonna say await sign in with pop-up. All right, so try to do it. Now this takes 2 arguments. One is the auth that we just made in the Firebase JS here. Remember the one that we exported, because this is gonna set the user. And the second one is the provider that we have up here. So let's import that auth from our utils here, like that. All right, so pass down the auth and then the Google provider. All right, so now it's gonna set it, right? All right, what's the problem here? Did we not install the package? We might have not installed the package. Let's check. No, damn it, it's installed. Sometimes you just want to see and hope that something's not installed. No, it says the errors here. Import get auth from. Wait, what get auth? Oh, here. Ah, okay. See, /auth you need here. Otherwise, it won't work. Cool. Another error. I'd love to see that. Oh, okay. Lowercase this Firestore like that. Damn it. Jeez. Okay. Click. Okay, and nothing happens, right? Which is fine. Okay, so I'm clicking on the auth and nothing's happening. Why? Well, nothing's happening because in our login, we don't have anything fucked up. Nothing's fucked up. We don't have anything hooked up to run this function. So really easy, go on the button and say on click. What do I want to do is run this login, basically, this Google login. So just call Google login and hit save. Cool. So now when we click here, look at that. We get a pop-up to sign us up with Google. And now we are signed in. Now it doesn't look like we're signed in, but we are. If we head here and hit refresh, you're going to see that we have a new user added. Cool. Okay. So now I want to add functionality to basically redirect me to another page. And also, yeah, that's pretty much it. And also display different information here. Like, okay, I can do other stuff now. So first of all, let's redirect the user. How do we do that? Well, we can do that with something called a route. Route. Const use router from next router. Oh, import. Such a silly goose. Okay, cool. So we can define it up here. Const route equals use router. And now with this route, we can push, basically redirect anyone anywhere we want. So let's go here after we do the sign in with pop-up. And then what we can do is just say route.push, and let's take them to our homepage for now. All right, we can do dashboard or another component, but let's just go back to the homepage. Okay, and if we have an error, let's just console log out the error, but we don't. So that's cool. Okay, now another thing I want to do is install a little package called React Firebase hooks. So let's close this up and say npm I React Firebase hooks. What this allows us to do is to have a very simplistic way of getting the current user and then adding some kind of checks. So basically you check if the user signed in. If they are, then you can run some logic. Okay, they have a cool little helper hook here that we can use. All right, so after we install that, and they have other stuff that works really nicely with Firebase. That's not the only one, but that's kind of the main one I want to use because the way they have it in Firebase is a bit just too many lines of code, to be honest. So we can import this thing, say use auth state from React Firebase hook /auth. Okay, and what this gives us is basically, if we go down here, a user and a loading function. All right, and we can set that equal to use auth state, and we can pass in the auth. All right, the actual user. Well, the auth from our Firebase thing, right? Down here, we are setting it in here, and then we can use it anywhere in our code like that. So anytime you want to get a user, just call this use auth state and pass in the auth from your utils Firebase, and that's it. Okay, so now that we have that, we can also run a use effect. So we can import use effect from React. All right, and this use effect is basically gonna run every time the user changes. So we can say use effect and run an arrow function here, and comma, and add a pair of empty array, right? And I'm gonna pass in this user here, all right? So every time the user changes, run the code in here. So what do I wanna run? I'm gonna say if there's a user, then route.push, take them to the home page, right? Cool. Else, console log login. All right, it doesn't matter. This is the main one that we need. All right. Perfect. So yeah, let's give that a shot. So when I hit join, let me refresh this. Okay, so if I try to go over to /auth/login now, see how we got redirected back to the home page? And that's that use effect here. So it detects if there's a user already logged in, if someone tries to go to auth login, it's just gonna jump us back here. If we don't have this, all right, I can be logged in. I am logged in now. And I can go over to auth login and look, I still get the sign in. So let's add this back here. Okay, but another thing we need to change is this join now, all right, to kind of show that we are logged in. So I think that's pretty much it in here. We don't need to mess with the login JS anymore. So we can get out. And we're gonna head over to our Nav Bar because that's where most of the changes are. So let's open this up and head over to our nav. Cool. Let's make more space here. All right, let's see what we need to do here. Okay, so let's import our auth. So anytime you want to do something with the user, you import auth from your ./utils Firebase and this hook from this package. Import use auth state from React Firebase hooks auth. All right, this is all you need, these two. All right, and then in your component here, you just say const user and loading, and that's it. Use auth state and pass in that auth. Done. All right, and now we can do something with this user. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Well, let's say if there is a user, then I want to show them something else. So in this UL here, all right, let's start with this first one. What I'm going to do is go down here and say curly brackets. If there is no user, and wrap this link like that. All right, if there's no user, then show them the join now button. So as you can see, we're logged in, so it's gonna disappear. However, if there is a user, so just user, then render out something else. So I'm just gonna add a pair of parentheses here, open that up, and we're gonna add all of our logic in here. So we're gonna make a div like that. We're gonna have a link tag. Okay, and we're gonna have a button in here saying post. Okay, we need to add an anchor to this as well. So let's just do href/post. There we go. So as you can see, boom, done. And then let's add another link tag. Let's do a href of /dashboard. All right, we don't have any of these components yet, but we're gonna make them soon. And then in here, we are gonna say h1 dashboard. Now, we're gonna change this. I'm gonna render out the actual picture of the user, okay? But before we do that, let's style this up a bit. So I'm gonna add a class name of flex items center gap of 6. There we go. Separate it up a bit. And then this button here with the post button is going to have a class name of font medium, a background of cyan 6500. Okay, text white, py of 2, px of 4, rounded md, and text of small. Cool. There we go. Okay, so since we're logged in, again, we can get all the information from the user. So you actually have it, everything's accessible here. So if I just console log out the user and do an inspect element and go here, let's do a refresh. And cool, we have an error. Lovely. Love that. I think we have an error. Because we might not have the server running or something. Let's, oh, we have it running. Ah, why you do this to me? Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, look at that. So if we console log out the user, we have all of this fancy information, the display name, the email, the photo URL, and everything else, the ID. Yeah, bunch of amazing things from Google. So rather than rendering out dashboard here, let's render out the image. So I'm going to say image, and the source is going to be user.photo URL. Cool. Let's get rid of this alt tag. You can add that later if you want. And okay, cool. It doesn't work. Lovely. Why not? No, looks good to me. No, it works here. What the hell? Refresh. There we go. That's weird. Okay, it's quite large now, so let's add a class name to this of v12, so make the width really small, rounded full, and a cursor of pointer. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we can click on this and it's going to take us to the dashboard, and then we can click post. It's going to take us to post as well. Amazing. That's pretty much all the functionality that we're going to need in the nav bar, right? Users logged in, present them with these options. If they're not logged in, just bring them to the login page. So let's start making like the dashboard. Let's add the functionality to log out the user, because that's pretty much the last thing we need. So let's head back here. All right, let's minimize everything, close everything up, and go to pages, make a new file, call it dashboard.js. Okay, let's make some space. And yeah, export default function dashboard. All right, and in here we're gonna return some JSX as always. We're gonna add a div, and in this div I'm gonna have a h1 saying your posts. Okay, and then we're gonna have another div. And here I'm basically gonna return all the posts. So I'm just gonna say posts for now. Cool, and after all of this, I'm just gonna have a button saying sign out. Okay, so let's click on this and boom, look at that. Perfect, it works. So let's sign the user out first. Let's do that functionality. Let's also add a bit of, we'll do the styling after actually. Okay, so let's import a couple of things. Import auth from our utils folder again, /utils/firebase. And that's all we need to sign a user out. Done. So we can go to our button and say onClick, take whatever user is in here from the auth and sign it out. So let's run a function directly in here just so we don't make another function up here and mess our code up. auth.signout. And that's it. Hit save. Done. Okay, let's try it. Sign out. Boom, we are signed out. But I don't want the user to see the dashboard anymore, right? I should not be able to access dashboard if there's no user signed in. So let's restrict that from them. So we can import up here, use auth state, obviously. Cool. And let's also import use router so we can route the users back. Okay, cool. So down here, let's say const route is use router, and const user and loading is equal to use auth state off. Okay. Perfect, so that should give us the user now, and we have a router to mess about. Okay, so now what I want to do is let's run some checks here. See if user is logged. All right, and what I can do is say if we're loading, then just return, do nothing. If there is no user, however, then return route.push and send them over to our auth login. All right. So it checks if the user is loading. If it's loading, do nothing. If it's loaded and we have the user, or in this case we don't have a user, then push them to the auth login. Otherwise, if we have a user, then just run whatever is down here. Okay. So that should be fine. Let's hit save and give this a shot. Okay, let's go over to /dashboard. Yay, error, love it. So I think the problem is that we're trying to run it here, but let's run it when the component actually mounts using useEffect. So let's import useEffect from React and useState as well, because we're going to use this in a bit. So down here, let's just say, let's add this to a function. So we're going to say, I'm going to call this get data because we're also going to get the data from the user. Okay. Const get data equals to async, run a function like that. And here we're just going to paste these two in. Okay, cool. So now down here, we're going to say get users data. useEffect, run an arrow function in here. And we're going to say get data. All right. And I want to run this on user and loading. All right. Cool. So when these two change, that's when this get data should be executed. Okay. So we're not logged in. Let's try it now. /auth/login. And look at that. Boom. We get redirected. Sorry, dashboard. There we go. See, we got redirected. Cool. So that works. We cannot access the dashboard unless the user is logged in. So we are forced to log in. When we are logged in, that changes. We can go to the dashboard. Lovely. Sign out. Yeah. Everything works just nice. Perfect. Okay, so I think next up, what we should focus on is actually being able to create a post. All right. I think that's a fantastic start, if you ask me. So let's head over to, yeah, basically, let's click on this post and make our post page. So go here on pages, make a new file, and we're gonna call this post.js. Minimize that, and let's add our logic. Let's import auth again from .utils/ Firebase. Import use auth state as well. So all of these different ones, it's like they're used all the time. Router as well we're gonna need. And then use effect and use state. Perfect. And here we're also gonna need our database, right? Because we wanna make a post. Cool, so let's import that as well. Okay, cool. So let's go down here and say export default function post. Lovely. Return some JSX. Let's make a div in here. And let's add our inputs and everything. So we're gonna have a div. Here we're gonna have a form. We're gonna remove this action. We don't need it. And we're gonna have a h1 saying create a new post. Cool. And then we're gonna have a div. Let's add a h3 here with the description. Okay, and after this, we are gonna have a text area. Yeah, we're gonna remove all of this ID, rows, columns, and everything. Just get rid of that. Yeah, cool. There it is. That's it. That's perfect. Let's also add a p tag down here, which is basically 0 out of 300. It's gonna show us like a limit of how much we can add, kind of like on Twitter. And then after this div, we'll just add a button that says submit. Okay, cool. Okay, let's add some styling. So top div, it's gonna have my20, p12, shadow, large. This is kind of like the exterior container of it. So if you see it, there we go. Oh, it's nice. Let's round it up, rounded LG. Max width on medium. Max width should be medium, and MX auto to center it. So when we go bigger, there we go. It's not as large as that. Okay, so that's kind of the exterior. And then in here, let's grab the H1 and say text to Excel and font bold. Nice, big and thick. This inner div should have a class name of py2, just to give it a bit of space. This h3, let's add a text large, font medium, and py of 2. Whew, okay, text area, class name should be bggray800. There we go. Let's add a height of 48 to this and a width of full. Text should be white inside and rounded should be large. And P2 for some padding inside and text small, and that's perfect. Let's also add something to this class name. Let's leave this like that for now, because we're going to add some logic in the class name. So whenever we type, this should update, but also change color if it goes above 300. So let's just leave that for like that. just let's do the button. Let's do class name vfull, background of cyan 600, text white, font medium. Let's add a p of 2, my of 2. Let's round it up, and text small. Cool, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's all of our styling. Now let's add our functionality. So basically what I want to do is, get the text from here, right? So the way we do that is with state. So go to the top here and say form state, okay? I'm gonna say const post and set post is equal to use state. And then in here, we'll make an object and say description is an empty pair of strings. Now, why do I add an object and not just an empty pair of strings? Well, I do that because we are gonna push this up to, actually, I don't think we need to do it this way. Yeah, when we're pushing this up to Firebase, we're gonna have an object there. And yeah, I just like to spread it out just in case I need something else. Maybe in the future I want to add a title or something, right? So it's just easy to take this object and spread it out in another object. But yeah, that's it. Essentially, we have this description that's set to nothing. So now if we go to the text area here and say value equals to post.description, now the value is always going to be this empty pair of strings. So if I try to type something in, nothing works because it's always empty. But what we can do is add an onChange here. Basically, every time I add an input, onChange is equal to, I can run an arrow function, and here we have access to the event, and I can say set the post to target value. All right, so whatever I'm typing it, set the state in this description. So type, and now this description has this information. If you want to see it, I can show it to you. I can just render out post here, and look at that. Boo, 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 boo. See? Cool. Okay, so now what we can do is essentially make a function that submits the post. So let's go here at the top, boom, 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 and make a new function. Let me make some space, submit post. So let's call this submit post. Set this equal to async. I'm gonna pass in the event there, and that's it. Now, what I want to do is call something called e.prevent default, because when forms get submitted, it's going to refresh the page. But since we don't want to do that, we don't want to reset because we're having like a client-side rendered app here. I don't want to get rid of, I don't want to lose any data on refresh. So this now, if I click submit, it's not going to refresh it. Well, it is. It refreshed it now because I haven't added this submit post down here. So let's do that. So this button should be a type of submit as well. All right. And yeah, I think we can just do on submit here. On the form, on submit post. Okay, cool. So now when I type something, submit, see, it doesn't refresh. Okay, that's the first one. Now what I want to do is, let's actually update this because we can now. So let's head down to our p tag. And here I can change the 0 from 0 to curly brackets, post description length. Okay, I can see how many characters are typed in. And we got an error. Let's refresh. Okay, it's fine now. Type. Okay, looks like when I start typing, it gets rid of it. Let's see what's wrong with this. Let's open this up. Let's make this bigger. I have a extension here, the React extension, and I can go over to components and check what's going on. So where's my state? Let's find it. So I can go to post here and look at that. We have description, type. See what happens? It went from an object to an empty pair of string when I type. That's a no-no. So basically here, right, set post, we're setting it to target value. So it gets rid of the object and changes it to a string. So what we do is we get rid of this and we add an object in here and say ... post. So that basically means whatever is in the in this object, just add it in there, spread it, and only update the description value. The description, and set that to target value. Okay, so this ... post means basically whatever was in here already. So if you have titles, if you have images, whatever. All right, so add that in there, but modify the description tag property. Okay, so now this should work now if we go down here and say post description .length. Okay, save. Look at that, perfect. But what I want to do is when I get above 300 is to change the color of it. So how do we do that? We can go here and say class name and add a pair of curly brackets, backticks, and say text cyan 600, font medium. There we go. Text small. And then I'm going to add $ curly brackets and say if post description .length is bigger than 300, then question marks, then add basically this class here, red 600. All right, so if it's bigger than 300, add text red of 600. And then after that, I can add a colon and say nothing. Okay, so let's look at this again. So post description length, check if it's above 300. If it is, add text red of 600. Otherwise, add nothing. So let's try it. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, everything's done in terms of styling it. So let's go back up here and submit this damn thing finally. Oh, okay. I'm tired. Let me take a sip. Hydrate. Okay. Let's make a new post then. So here, what we'll do is in our data here in Firebase, as you can see, we have nothing. So if I go to Firebase, Firestore, nothing. Okay. So what I want to do is make a new collection. You don't need to do it here. If we add a document inside a collection, it's going to automatically generate it for us. So that's kind of how our structure is going to be. You have a collection of different documents, okay? So you can imagine users here, all right? And then each document is one user. In this case, we'll just do posts. We'll keep it simple. You can stack them together. You can have, I guess normally if it'd be a bigger application, I do a collection with users, and in that users collection, you have a sub collection of posts or whatever. But to keep this simple for now, because this is I want to keep this as simple as possible, we're just going to make one collection of posts, okay? So the way we do that is, how do we do that? We'll say const, let's call this make a new post. We'll say const and we're gonna say collection ref. All right, we're gonna get a reference to the collection that we're about to make. Again, it doesn't matter if we don't have it here, we'll create it. So we're gonna say collection, all right, and we're gonna import this from Firebase Firestore. So click on that, all right. All right, this is basically how you select the collection. All right, if you want to select it, this is the way you do it. And even if you don't have it, it's gonna make it for you. So what you need to pass in here is the DB, all right, that database from our Firestore utils, all right, and then the name of it. So let's call this posts. All right, so basically I want to get a reference to our post collection, which doesn't exist, but it's fine. And then I want to add a document to this. So what we can say is await add doc, and let's import this as well from the Firebase Firestore. So add a doc, and what we need to pass here is this collection ref, all right, from up here. All right, so it knows where to put it, and comma, and then here an object with the data. So what do I want to add to it? Well, I want to add the post, right, the description of this. So I can spread it out here, post, all right, and that's going to add the description. Again, if you have title and other stuff, it's going to add those as well. And then I can add a timestamp to this as well. So let's call this timestamp when this was made. And I can say server timestamp, and we can import this from Firebase as well, Firebase Firestore. Cool. So that we run like that. And I also want to add the user information to it because I want to display the name, right? And also the image. So we can say user, since we have access to the user, I can say user.uid. All right, I can pass in the ID of it. I can get the avatar as well by saying user.photoURL. Let's pass that down as well. And username is going to be user.displayname. Again, all of this comes from our user, which we have not defined. Did we not? No, we haven't. Let's go up here and define it. Const user and loading. Okay, set that equal to use auth state off. Okay, so now we have it. All right, so we can pull all of that information out from there into here. Okay, so that should kind of be it, all right? You get a reference to a collection you want to make, and then you add a doc to it. Not too hard, is it? Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see if it works. Hey, this is a test. Submit. Okay, now nothing happens here, which is fine, but let's see if that worked. Let's refresh. Look at that, it does work, cool. Look, we made a posts collection. Here's our user document. Sorry, our post document, right? So we made a post document and we added to that our description message and information about the user as well as a timestamp that it made. So really cool, there we go. So we made a post. Lovely. So let's get rid of this for now. I'll just delete it. Okay, there we go. What I want to do is a couple of things here. I want to clear this out, this text out. So what we can do is say set post. And here I'm just going to say description should be cleared out like that. All right. So after we add the document, clear it out. And potentially at the end here, we can say something like return route.push and push our user back to the home screen. Okay. Route. Do we not have this? We don't. Const route equals to use router. Okay, route.pushback. Okay, let's try this again. Hello there, this is really cool. Let's hit submit, enter. Boom, we are redirected back to the home screen. Did the data get added? I believe so. Yes, it did. Really cool. Now, one more thing I want to do is add some checks here. So if this is empty or if this is above 300, then you're not allowed to submit this post. And what we're going to do is import a cool little package called React Toastify that gives us a cool little notification here at the top. So let's open this up. Let me check if I'm still filming. I am. Npm Install React Toastify, like that. Hopefully I wrote that correctly. Okay, I think that's it. That is hooked up correctly. Installed correctly, not hooked up correctly. Let's hook it up now. So let's close this up. And what we need to do is head over to our app here. Okay. And I'm just gonna import it here at the top. Say import, import toast container from React Toastify. All right, so let's just add it here and say toast container like that. Okay, and here I'm just gonna add something called, I'm gonna show you in a bit actually. Okay, all right, so that's imported. Now back here in our post, let me make the space again. Let's go to the top and say import toast from React Toastify. Okay, so here at the submit post, we are preventing default. And before we make the post here, make a new post, let's make some space. I want to run some checks if the user is allowed to submit it or not. So run checks for description. Okay, so I can say if post description, let's say if there's no description, so if there's no post description, then I can say toast error description field empty. And let's add an emoji as well and hit save. Okay, so it's empty, right? Let's run the server backup. Okay, click. What in the world happened? Okay, cool. I think we need to add I think we need to add the styling as well to this. Okay, so it doesn't work. So let's head over back to our app. We just need to import the CSS files associated to it as well. So React Toastify /dist/ React Toastify. I think it's all uppercase. React Toastify.css. There we go. Yay, it works nicely now. Cool. So let's close this up and head back over to our posts. And I can also modify like the timing of this, how long it should last, etc., etc. But look at that. I think it still made the post for us with nothing in it. Yeah, it did. We're just going to delete this in a bit because, I mean, it checks for this, but it still makes the new file. So we have to return it. So if there's nothing in the description, besides giving us the error, I also want to return this function here. So let's just say return here at the end. All right, that's going to stop the submit post from running. Now, another thing I want to do is after this, so after I add the string here, I can add a comma and make a new object. And here I can specify like the position of my toast. So I can say toast.position, and let's do top center. All right. And also the timing, auto close, or we're going to say 1000. All right. Just 1 second. Click. And there we go. Now look at this. I don't want that to happen. So I can head back to my app. and just add a limit to this of 1. All right, so now I can click multiple times. It's only gonna do 1. Let's actually add 1,500 to this. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's one check. And then I can pretty much copy paste this over and say if post description length is bigger than 300. All right, then I want to do the same. I'll just change this to description too long. Okay, so if it's empty, error, and then if it's too long, hopefully it errors out as well. Yeah, perfect, lovely. So that works. That's perfectly fine. And I believe that's it. So now we can just head back here and look at that. It hasn't made any new ones. So I can just get rid of all of it again, just to restart our data. Perfect. Do we need anything else for now? No, I guess it would be quite a good start to make it available in our dashboard here, right? To see it, or actually here on the home screen. So let's make a new post, call this, hey, welcome to DevEd, subscribe, submit. Cool, so we got redirected to the home page. So let's go to the home page, index.js here. And let's start adding our logic. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. But the thing here is, on my home screen, I want everything to show up, right? If it's made from me, if it's made from another user, etc., etc. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, okay, so let's get rid of this main tag. Just make a simple div. Okay. And in here, let's add a h2, say, see what other people are saying, like that. Okay. And down here, I think I'm just gonna make a new component here that's called like message, right? Because we're gonna render loads of them out here. All right, so let's keep it like that for now. Let's add a class name to this, text to Excel. And then on this one, class name my12, text large, and font medium. Okay, just push it down a bit. Cool. This is too large actually, so let's get rid of this. Text large. Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's just get rid of this. There we go. Cool. Can't get this right. Perfect. Okay, let's head back to our components and we'll make a new one and we'll call this message.js. Okay, so export default function message, return a div. Okay, and in here it's going to be really simple. We're going to have a div and then another div that's going to hold the image of the user and also a h2. Just say hello here for now, or just user. Okay, we'll just do mock data for now. And then down here, we're gonna have another div that's gonna hold a p tag with the description. And then down here at the bottom of this, we're gonna add children. And the reason why I'm adding children here, as you're gonna see, because here on the front page, I just want to see the tweets. However, in the dashboard up here, I want the user to be able to edit it. So I can easily just drop that in wherever I want to. Okay, so let's just import children here. Okay, and that's it. Let's save. Let's go here and say class name of BG white, P8, border of B2, rounded, LG. Actually, let's import this here so we can actually see it. Go back to the index page, import message, and just render like 2 of them out here. Message. There we go. Then copy paste this again. There we go. All right, so we have 2 tweets there. Okay, rounded LG, and then on this inner one, let's do a class name of flex, items center. Actually, let's just add the real data. Okay, that's gonna be better that way. Okay, so we'll keep this open here, this message, because we're gonna jump back and forth through it. Yeah, let's head over to our index. Just give me a second. And down here and up here. What do I want to do? Okay, perfect. Let's import a couple of things. Use effect, use state. We're going to import our DB from our utils file because we need to read the data from there. And I think that's it. Okay, so here we're going to create a state with all the posts that are coming in from our database. We're going to say const all posts, set all posts. This is going to be a use state and an empty pair of arrays. All right, and then we want to create the function called getPosts, which is going to be an async function. And here, again, we're going to do the same thing. We basically want to get this posts collection here, right? We want to access the post collection. So again, to do that, really simple. We just say collection reference and say collection. All right, make sure you import this. So click on there like that to import it. So I want to get from the DB, I want to get the posts, and that's it. And what I can also do is sort it by date. All right, so the newest one should be always on top. So I can say Q here for query, and I can also import this query from Firebase Firestore. So again, I'm just going to pass in the collection ref as the first argument, and the second one I can pass in order by, like that. Make sure you also import this order by. And here I can just specify to order by the timestamp in a descending order, and that's it. All right, so you can use this query and then add your kind of filter in here. And that's it. All right, perfect. So now what we can do is import something called onSnapshot. So rather than what we had here with, so here we just did add doc, but we can also do get a document. So get doc or get docs. We can use something called a onSnapshot, which is gonna update our data in real time. So if a new tweet comes in, it's gonna automatically update for us live. So that's really cool. So that's what you can use onSnapshot for. So to use that, we just say const unsubscribe and set this equal to onSnapshot. We're gonna import this from Firebase Firestore as well. And here we pass in our query. And then for our second argument, we're gonna have all the documents in our Firestore. All right, in this case, we only have one. So that's going to return us a snapshot here. Let's call it query snapshot, or just snapshot. Or we can call it like all the docs here, right? So we're going to run an arrow function like that. So basically, we can have multiple here, but for each one of these docs, I want to set all my posts to, let's actually rename this to snapshot. We can have access to each document and data in here by saying snapshot. All right, so here snapshot dot docs dot map. So mapping over it is going to basically return us an array with all the different objects. And here we have access to each individual doc, like that. And we can run an arrow function, which is going to return us, I'm going to add parentheses, curly brackets, okay? This is a bit like, oh my God, so much. But I did this incorrectly, actually. Let me go back. We'll wrap this doc in another pair of parentheses like that, and then do like that, okay? So we're gonna add parentheses, curly brackets. All right, so for each document, I want you to return me an object that has the doc.data. That's how we have access to it. And then yeah, that's it, save, all right? So again, if you do .map, by default, that's gonna return you an array. And in that array, we're passing in the data that's in each document. All right, we're spreading it in an object. Jesus, okay. And that should be it. So at the end here, we also need to say return unsubscribe, and that's it. All right, so this doesn't run forever. And this is always gonna keep looking for changes for us as well. So let's get back here. We can open up our terminal and go over to, let's refresh this, enable React, go to components. Where's my home component? Can I select it like that? No, it doesn't let me. Okay, there we go. State is empty, see? Okay. But we do have one item here, so something's not working because we have a post already made. Okay, so something's not working. Any errors by any chance? No? Oh my God, why not? Oh, we're never running this function. Okay. That's just the use effect here. Use effect, run an arrow function and say get posts. Cool. And then empty array like that. Okay, cool. Let's check again. Refresh. Components, home. Look at that. We have one item here. And as you can see, we have our avatar, user, description, username, and the timestamp. Perfect. So we have everything we need. Well, almost everything. What I'm missing is this document ID. All right, so I can pass it in here because we're going to loop over it in React, and it's going to complain to us like, oh, we don't have a key. So I'm going to pass the ID in as well. All right, so the way you do that is, again, we're doing it here, right? So we're making this object, and then we're spreading the doc data in here. But I can also just add something else to it by saying doc, let's say ID, for example, should be doc.id. All right. Cool. So now we also get that back. Look at that. Boom. We also pass in this doc ID in there. Perfect. All right. So now that we have that, we can actually render out all the different messages. So let's scroll down here. All right. So down here, we can say all posts .map. And for each post, can run an arrow function and I can just return a message component. Now if that's complaining, then just do this. Oh, something's not okay. I should have ran it in here and just return a message component like that. Okay, cool. And look at that, it works. But I want to pass in the data from this post in here. So I can just go here and spread out saying ... post. All right, that's basically going to take all the properties and values and spread it out in props here. Okay, so now I can just go in my message here and access to it everything that I spread here. So let's go there and just grab the avatar, grab the username, the description, and that's it. Okay, so here for the image now, I can do source avatar. There we go, amazing. Can add a class name to this, set this equal to v10, rounded full, and that's it. Nice. And then here I can now change this to username. That doesn't work for some reason. Okay, we're gonna see why. Let's see if description works. So I'm just gonna wrap it in curly brackets, and that does work. So at least that's fine. Let's check our data here. Let's see what's up with this. No, username. It's all lowercase. What did I name it? Aha. I named it like that. Username. Nice, perfect. So now up here, let's also add a gap of 2 to space it out. And we should have some space here as well. Class name, by4. And that's looking good. Lovely. So now again, I have children here, so I can render out different things according to where I am on the page. So here, for example, on our index page, I want to render out comments down here. However, on my dashboard, I want to still render out the message, but I want to also render out like modifying buttons like delete or update a post. Okay. So let's head back over here to our index, and we're just going to leave it like this for now. Actually, that's the last thing we're going to implement, the comments. So we're basically, we know how to post something new now, post something new, and we know how to read something new as well. All right, so we have 2 posts there. Perfect. Now, when I want to click on the dashboard, I want to have my posts here as well. So here on the home page, everyone posts show up. However, on my dashboard, only my posts I want to show up. So let's go over to our dashboard. Click on dashboard, make some space. Perfect. Let's go over to our dashboard, scroll down here. Damn, our dashboard's quite empty, isn't it? Okay, so all we're doing here is checking, right? We have this implemented already. If there's a user, if there's no user, kick them out. However, if there's a user, then let's get back all of their posts. How do we do that? Well, really simple. Const collection ref, right? We've done this quite a few times now. We can import collection from Firestore, and I want to get the DB, import that as well, right? Comma, and I want to get the posts. Okay, now by default, this is gonna just get back everything, right? However, I can specify in my query, I can say const q query, let's import that as well. I think there's another way to do it here. You can just say like, get it back by the ID of the user, but I did it this way, which is still pretty much the same. Voice crack, sorry. Query, and we're gonna say, pass in the collection ref, right? This one here, comma, and I can say where, also import that, where our user, comma, double equals, comma, user.uid. All right. So user has a UID on him. If we do a console log, user, let's just console log out the user. Okay, hit save. Let's check. Console. See, user has a, where is it? It's here somewhere, UID, see? Perfect. So we can check the user ID. And based on this, we're only gonna send back. Yeah, this basically says just only get back the data that belongs to this user. Actually the posts, right? Because if we check here, if we check in our document here, we have the username, the user with our code, right? So we can say user, if it matches the user UID that's coming in from the currently logged in user, then return that document for us. So now we can pretty much copy paste over the same functionality. Const unsubscribe, unsubscribe equals to, we're going to say on snapshot for this as well, import that. And we're going to pass in our query and say snapshot, run an arrow function and say set posts. We don't have this. Let's make a new state here for us so we can see it. Const posts, set posts, use states, and we're gonna make an empty array. Okay, set posts, and we're gonna do our mapping over again. So snapshot dot docs dot map, map over each document like that, and just parentheses, curly brackets, dot 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 doc data, and ID is doc ID. All right, it's kind of almost the same that we did in our index. The only difference is, goodness sakes, is we added a check here to only return this specific user's posts. Return unsubscribe. Perfect. Save. And now we actually need to render it out down here, right? So right above here where we have our posts, right? Let's get rid of that. Open up this div and say posts.map, map over each post, and then curly brackets, and we are going to return a message. So let's import that as well by hitting enter. And perfect. Let's actually expand this out like that. Okay, refresh. Do we get any posts? We don't. Okay, we'll see why we're not getting anything back. And do we get our data saved? Let's make sure we do. The components, here we go. Dashboard, let's see. Oh yeah, we get our state back, so that's good. That's a good sign. We have two of them here. I think it's because we're not rendering out any data. So here on the message, again, we need to pass down like, well, who is this coming from? So post and a key of post ID. Okay, refresh, nothing. I also want to see if I added the key here. I don't think I did. See, on the home screen here, we get this message, error message saying no unique key prop. So let's go back here. And for each message, let's also add a key of post.id. Okay, let's see if that gets rid of it. Refresh. Okay, so that's sorted. This error is coming from my extension, I believe, so don't worry about that. Okay, so that works. Here, we don't have anything yet. Don't know why. We'll see. Let's head back to our dashboard. So this function seems to, let's delete this console log. Let's go down here. Let's see if this runs. Console log run. Yeah, it does. So this is running. Let's get rid of that. This is the problem here. Damn it, we're not returning this thing properly. Oh, okay. So we have to say return here and wrap this up like that. Goodness. Oh, this is so annoying in React. I'm not gonna lie. There we go. That works fine now. Yay, there we go. So we have our own personal tweets rendering out. So that's really good. And again, this is gonna, like if someone else comments on this, it's gonna render out. But here it's only gonna be ours. Perfect. But also in here, what I wanna do in this message is render out a couple more buttons like delete and modify. Okay, so let's do this. In here, add another div with a button that says delete. Okay, cool. And then let's add another button here that says edit. Okay, and I also want to import some icons. So let's import, I'll say BA trash to fill from React icons /BA. Is it BA? BS. This package is BS. BS. Okay, that's one. And then let's do an edit icon. AI fill edit from React icons AI. That should be fine. Let's see if that works. Let's go down here. All right, so for delete, right before the delete, I'll add a BS trash to fill. There it is. And for this one, we add the AI fill edit like that. Cool. All right, there we go. Let's style this up because it looks absolutely horrendous. Let's go here on the top one. Class name, flex, gap 4. There we go, separate those out a bit. And then on each button here, we'll add a class name of text pink 600. Okay, flex, item center, justify center, gap 2, py2, text small. Okay, cool. So that's one. And then on our BS trash fill, we can make this a bit larger. Text to Excel. Okay, and then we can pretty much apply this on this one. And we can copy this over as well and apply it to the button down here. And then we'll just change the color of it. So let's do text teal 600. Okay, there we go. That's pretty nice. And let's also do this button a bit. The bottom one here, class name, font, medium, text white. Okay, and we'll do BG gray of 800. Okay, PY of 2, PX of 4. Okay, just so it doesn't look as terrible. And you can add more to it if you want. You can do an MY of 6. Just push it down a bit. There we go, much better. Let me also stick this in there like that. Okay, there we go. So we have our buttons, and yeah, I think that's it for now. So let's start with delete. All right, that's a pretty good start. How do I delete something? Well, let's go up here in our dashboard and make a new function. Delete post. So we're going to call this delete post. Set this equal to async. And I just need the ID of the document. That's all. Pass in the ID of the document. And we're going to say docref this time. All right. So remember, so far we got the reference for the collection. Now we're going to the reference for the document, the actual document we want to get rid of. And the way you make your way there is still from the beginning. So if you want to get a doc reference, you need to say doc. All right, let's import it from Firebase Firestore. And then you say DB, and then you navigate over to the post collection, and then navigate over to the ID, right? And if you have this stacked more and more, so maybe in this document you have a sub-collection, then you do DB posts, the ID of the document, and in there the sub-collection like more info, and maybe another document in there, all right? So it just kind of keeps going and going like that. Okay, and then all we need to do is say await delete doc. So we import this from Firestore as well. And then we just pass in the document reference. And that's it. That's all we need to do. So get a reference to the document with the ID and then run delete doc from Firebase. Easy peasy. So now we can go down to our button trash here, which this one, say on click and set that equal to an arrow function where we say delete post, and here we'll pass in our post.id because we have access to each individual document ID. That's it. Let's see. Delete. Boom. Done. Look at that. It updates here as well because we have on snapshot enabled. Boom. Lovely. Nice and easy, wasn't it? Hello there, world. Okay. Now what I want to do is let's do the edit, but I don't want to make a new component and a new file. So wouldn't it be really cool if we just can hit edit and it's going to take us to this page with the information already filled in, and then we'll just modify this. I'll show you a cool way that we can do that. So what I'm going to do is down here at the edit button, we're going to wrap this in a link tag. Okay, so let's go to the top here and import link. Okay, let's get the link tag, wrap it around the edit button. Okay, perfect. It's going to error out because I don't have a href here. So let's say href. And I'm going to set this equal to double curly brackets. Rather than just doing href to this location, I'm going to do double curly brackets and say path name, go over to post. Okay, so now let's see. Edit, it's going to take us to create a new post. Why? Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because if you have double curly brackets, you can pass down the path name, but also data. any data you want. So I can add a comma here and say query, and I can pass down the current post that I clicked on, right? Because we're looping over here, right? Going through each and every one, and I can pass it down here in a query. And what I can do is just automatically fill up all the information here. All right. So I'm passing it down there. So now if we head over to our post, go to the top here in our post, and you have it available in your route here. You can pull it out from here. So if I say console log route, if we do an inspect console, we have an object, and we have all of this stuff like push, right? The one we use, but we have query here. Look at that. All right, so we can have our data from there. So let's click edit, inspect console, and check out query. Look at that. And we have all the data corresponding to this post. Okay, cool. So let's pull that out actually. Let's call it update data, route query. Okay, there we go. So now we have access to it. Let's go down here. So after this whole shebang here with the submit post, right? We're gonna make a new one where we're gonna check our user. We're gonna say const check user is equal to async. So I didn't have this in here. What I mean by that is if we're logged out, just a side note, right? If I go over to /post, I have access to this, right? Look, like that. Just the same way we had access to the dashboard. So let's add this first because I want to add that logic. If loading, return, and then if there's no user, then route.push to auth login. Okay, I wanted to make sure I also added this. And then we can just say use effect. Okay, sorry for the side note. We can add user here and loading, right? So every time user and loading updates, run this check user. Cool. Okay, side note. If we go over to post now, okay, we get redirected if we're not logged in. Okay, anyway, I wanted to add that because what we can also do is when the user is logged in, I can check if they are making a new post or if they hit the edit button here. Okay, and how can I do that? Well, when I make a new post here, all I have is a description, right? That's it. That's all I have. However, if it's an existing post, then Firebase generates a doc ID to it. So I can check if my data has an ID or if it doesn't. All right. Then I can do something with that. So here I can say if update data .id, so if it has an ID, then set post singular to the description from the update data, from the route data. I should have called this route data, actually. Route data makes more sense. There we go. So if it has an ID, then set my post to route data dot description, comma, ID update data dot ID. Okay, let's see. So let's go back here, edit. Okay, we have an error. What's the error? Something with update data is not found. Where did I still write update data here? Route data, save. Look at that, it automatically completes it for us. Edit, boom, it's there. Okay, so let's, this is just a bit mind-blowing, so let me go back. Okay, so in our dashboard, right? Here's our dashboard. In our link tag, we can pass in the current document that we're rendering on the screen, all right? So in my Firebase, I have one document. Okay, cool, we're looping over them, rendering them out here, and I can pass in all the data with the query, all right? From the post to the ID of the document, everything. Okay, so now when we get to the edit page here, when we get to the edit page, it checks if we have a route data ID, all right? And in this case, we do. So if we do, then get the data from the route data and set the description and also set the ID. All right, so it automatically fills it up for us. Whew, perfect. So now, why do we need this ID? Well, we can also check, update this like create a new post. I don't want this to show create a new post. I want this to show update your post. So I can go down to my JSX here. Oh, here we go. All right, description and ID. All right, so that's what we're setting here. Again, I want to really make sure you understand this clearly. So when you're making a post, blah, 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 your state only has the text. Why am I yelling? It's not like you're going to understand it better if I'm yelling, right? When you make a new post, our post state here only has a description. However, when we're updating it, edit, then we're also passing down the ID here. So that's what we're checking. If the route data has an ID, then we have a description and an ID. Okay, so with that logic included, I can update anything on the screen here now. I can say, create a new post here. Let me cut this from here, open it up down there, curly brackets, and I can say, if the post has own property of ID, so if it has an ID, then I want you to say edit your post. Otherwise, create your post. Okay, I don't think I copied this properly. So has own property of ID, string, question mark, edit your post and create a new post. Okay, and there we go. Look at that, edit your post, and we have our text. So now if we go to post, it says create your new post because it's a new state, right? That doesn't have an ID. It's not an existing document. And when we click edit, it's going to get it through the route and we have the ID. And that also allows us to modify a text here in the submit post, right? So in our submit post, we're saying, yeah, just make a new document. However, now that we have the ID, we know it's an existing one already. So what I can do is say, let's say, where should we do it? So right here after the checks, I can say if post question mark has own property of ID, then I can just say const docref. All right, because if it has an ID, that means we have it in Firebase somewhere stored. So I can get a doc reference and say doc. Let's import that from Firebase. And we are going to say db, comma, posts, and the post ID. All right, so we're going to get that specific document. And I'm going to update it. So I'm going to say const updated post is equal to, I'm just going to make a simple variable here. It's going to be an object with whatever is in the post now, because we can modify it, right? So if we type, that means that our text updates here. All right, so does this. So whatever got changed, and then the timestamp as well, I want to say server.timestamp to add a new date to it. Okay, and then we just say await update document. Import that from Firebase as well. And then we are passing down this variable that we just made. Update, oops, I can't see. Updated post, like that. Perfect. Oh, sorry, we need to pass in the reference. So doc reference. So this specific document should be updated with these values, with updated post values. All right, reference and the update. Okay, and then after it's updated, let's say return route push. Let's push them back to the home page. All right, so if it has the property of ID, then update it, else make a new post. So let's wrap everything here in this. Like that. Okay, cool. And that should be all actually. So let's give this a shot. We're on the home page, we make a new post. Hello, this is a new post. We don't have an ID, so it checks. Does it have an ID, this post? No, it doesn't. Okay, then we're gonna make a new one. Boom. Hello, this is a new post. Now we can go edit it as well. Let's go to hello, this is a new post. Add some rocket emojis maybe. Okay, submit. Boom, updated. Look at that, amazing. How cool is that? And then we can delete this one as well, and perfect. So we have our delete, update, read, and write all sorted out. Whew, let's take a breath. Oh my God. That was quite a bit, wasn't it? You can do small things like when you make a new post. Hello, this is a new post. We can add like a little message up here saying, oh, a new post was made. So we can import our toasty. We have it imported actually. So let's go down where we add the doc. Add the doc, set post here, and right here before we return, let's say toast success and say post has been made. And let's add a rocket emoji again, full of rockets. Cool. And then we can define the position as well. Position. Position, there we go. We can say toast dot position top center. Oops. Top center like that. And let's also add the time, auto close in 1500. Okay. Make a new post. Hello there. Submit. Boom. Lovely. Whew. Okay. Hope you're still here with me. Hang in there. Okay. There's loads that we've done. I think it's time for us to add a comment section now. I think we're ready for that. Okay, so for that, let's head back to our index.js. All right, this is where I want to see the comment. So index.js, let's close that, make more space, and inside the message here, let's add the functionality. So what I want to do is make a link tag. Let's see, do I have that imported? No, I don't. Import link from next. Cool. So here now, we're going to say href, and I want it to send us over to path name and I'll do backticks and say $ curly brackets slash, what am I doing here? Backticks slash $ curly brackets, like that. And we're gonna say post ID. Okay, so basically, what's wrong with this? I need to add something in here. I'm just gonna add a button saying comments. Oh, goodness sakes. Now, okay, the formatting here is not correct. That's the problem. I just cannot tell. It's hard to tell. Okay, let's get rid of this. Is it the return statement? No. Okay, clear that out. Start from scratch. Okay, link tag, right? Let's just add a href of slash. Okay, cool. Just so it's easier to see. Okay. So here then, open the button, add a button here and say comments. Okay, is the formatting correct now? It is. Okay, comments, comments, comments. Perfect. Okay, so backticks slash $ curly brackets to post ID. All right, so every time we click on one of these, it's gonna take us to that document ID. Cool. And yeah, let me copy this as well, because we're gonna do the same thing as we did in edit, where we pass in the data that's already in here down. So cut this, add another pair of curly brackets and say path name and paste that back in. And then comma, query whatever is in this post. Okay, there we go. Lovely. And then here, I can also say how many comments we have. But we don't have a comments in our database now. So if we check here, right, we have avatar, description, user, username. Okay, so we're gonna come back to that in a bit. So when we click on this, boom, it's gonna bring us to this page, which we don't have. So to create a dynamic page, we're gonna hit new file and say square bracket slug.js, like that. Okay, and hit enter. Now this is always gonna bring us to this page if it's a randomly generated number here. All right, so if I do slash literally whatever, it's gonna bring us to this page. Localhost 3000 slash blah, 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 blah. It's gonna take us here. So let's do export default function. Let's call this, what should we call this? Like details? Perfect. Yeah, let's return something here. Div h1 hello. There we go. So now when we click on one of these, it's always going to take us to this comment. Perfect. Whew. Okay, so let's import a couple of things again. Up at the top, import message, import use router, import use effect and use state, import auth and db from /util/firebase, because I only want someone that's authenticated to be able to comment. And let's also import our toast here. Okay, that's pretty much everything I think that we need. Okay, so now down here, let's define our router, use router, and const route data as well. Router.query. All right, we can get our data. And let's define message here and set message. So this is basically our input, right? We're gonna have an input bar where a user can type in and then hit submit. So this is gonna be useState, an empty pair of strings, okay? Cool. And we're also gonna have all messages, all right? All the comments that we're gonna get from our database. Set all messages equal from useState, and this is gonna be an array. All right, so we're gonna save an array basically to our Firebase document. Okay, let's add the UI first, because that's simple. So here, when we click in here, I wanna render out the message component, message. All right, and I'm gonna pass in my route data. So we're basically getting back the let me expand this because it's gonna error out. There we go. So we're passing the data down and we are gonna have it rendered out on the screen. So there we go, boom, easy, really easy. So now that we have our comment in here, I wanna have an input and some other things. Actually not in here, below it, we'll say, what are we gonna say? Make a div, make another div in here. We're gonna have an input. That's gonna be type text, that's fine. We're gonna have a value of message, all right, the empty pair of strings that we have. A placeholder saying send a message. Okay. Can add a wee emoji. It's not doing it. Let me make more space. There we go. Perfect. There it is. There's our input. And what else do we need? An onChange on it, right? So we can say onChange, run an arrow function here that basically we get the event from, and set the message to eTarget value. All right, so that's the user's comment. Let's add some classes to it. Class name. We're gonna say BG gray of 800 with full P2, text white, and text small. There we go, cool. Now here at the top, for the stop div, we'll say class name my4, just to give it some space, and a class name of flex here. I add the class name of flex because we're gonna have a button here that's gonna go next to it saying submit. Okay, and we're gonna add a class name of BG cyan 500 with a text of white, PY of 2, and PX of 4. Something's missing. Cyan, not crayon, not crayon. There we go. That font is massive, isn't it? Text small. Okay, so that's all sorted then. Now after this, so we have our section here that's basically like a form, and then after this we'll have another one, another div. I'm gonna add a class name of py6 to this. And in here, we'll have a h2 saying comments. All right, this is gonna have a class name of font bold. Okay, and after this, I want to render out basically all my messages. All messages, .map. And for each message, I want to write something out on the screen. Oops. In here, like that. Open up. And we're going to add a div here. Let me do a div. There we go. Okay. And let's do another div in here. And here we're going to have the image of the user. Now this is going to error out now because it says, oh, set all messages is not a function. We don't have any data. So what you can do is, you remember I added the question mark. You can do that. Add the question mark here. Actually, that doesn't seem to be the issue in this case. This is an issue when you get the data, but it's not there yet. For like a split second, it might not be, so it's going to error out. And then you can still add the question mark, and it's going to wait for it to come true. So still add that there. Yeah, let's just comment this out for now until we get the data back. Okay, because we don't have anything for now. Anyway, if we check our components and we check our my app, where is it? Message. Okay, here we have our message. Cool. We have everything, but we don't have comments. Oh, I know how we can fix this. All messages. Okay, never mind. Let's just uncomment this. Yeah. Okay, let's just wait for now. Let's just actually submit messages and then we'll see. Okay, so what I want to do first of all is, yeah, submit the message. So let's say const submit a message. Const submit message. We'll set this equal to async, run a function here, and we'll check if the user is logged. That's the first one. So we can say if we can also use this utils Firebase package. We don't need that fire hooks. Let me just show you how to do it with this as well. You can say if there's no auth.current user, then return blah, blah, blah. All right, so you can use it like this as well. Router.push back to the auth login. So this is without the Fire Tools, Fire blah, blah, blah plugin. Plugin? Package. This is straight Firebase code. Okay, so that's done. And then I can say if there is no message, let's run some checks here. We can say toast.error, don't leave an empty message. Okay. Let's add a little icon there, comma, open up this and say position, toast.position.top, center, and auto close in 1500. All right, so if a user types something in here and hit submit, and if it's empty, then don't submit it. Let's also add the submit check down here to the button. Find the button, on click, submit message. Okay, click, refresh, let's click again. Let's also return here because we don't want to submit anything. Oh, well, I'm silly. I should have left it empty, right? That's when you cannot submit it. Okay, what was I kept typing, like, this is not working. Yeah, because it needs to be empty. Okay, so that's one check. The other check is we can do if message. You can do length if you want as well, the same way as we did before. I'm gonna leave it like this for now. Okay, so after our check, if there is something in here, then we can say, we'll get a reference to this document. So we can say doc import db posts and the route data ID. All right, so we're gonna go to the one that we are on. So this, whatever I'm clicking on, right, that document. Go onto that document, and after I'm on that document, I want to await and update doc. All right, so I'm going to call that function that we used before in our edit page. Pass in the doc reference, and the second one is going to be the update that we want to do to it. So in here. Now, what I want to do is actually add something new to it. So I'm going to add a comment section to it. Comments, like that. And this is coming from me, so I'm adding this. Comments. And I'm going to use something called array union. Import that from Firestore. Open this up with curly brackets like that. And in here, I can basically push in an object to a new array. So you can use array union to create an array. And if we add more stuff to it, it's going to update it for you. So I want to push in the message from this input, right? The message, but I also want to post the avatar that the user is commenting, right? Avatar. And I want to get the users that's logged in currently that's commenting. So the way I can do that is say auth the current user. All right, so get the current user, his photo URL. All right, and also get his name, username, of current user dot display name. And let's also do a timestamp now. All right, so whenever they posted the comment. Okay, cool. Let's try it. Oh, and after this, I also want to reset. So after this, at the end here, set message to an empty pair of strings. Okay, so now we can go here and leave a comment. When I hit submit, it's going to create this comments array for us, and it's going to push in this object. So if we check, expand this, look at that, comments, see? And it's going to push in the current user that commented and all of his information as well, and the time. And you can use this as well if you want to post the time. So there we go. And then I can add multiple comments to it, and it's going to work just fine. Okay, so let's actually display them out on the screen. Let's create a function here. So after this, get comments. Const get comments equals to an async function. And we're going to get a reference to this document. So doc, pass in the DB, posts, and I want to get the route data ID. All right, so this document, and I'm going to run a doc snap, await, get document. All right, so we're just going to get it once, doc ref. Okay, cool. So we're getting the document. I guess if you want to do live, you can use on snapshot again. I'm just going to do it like this for now. And we can do set all messages to docsnap.data.comments. All right, so I'm accessing our document. Here, I'm getting it. This is the reference. This is where I'm accessing it. And then on that document data, I'm going to pull out the comments array. All right, so this is the only thing I'm interested in. Okay. So now let's hit save. And down here, this should work now. And it still doesn't. So there's something fishy here. Let's check if we actually, oh yeah, we're never running this function either. So let's make a use effect down here. If use effect and run this, comma. Now, when do we want to run this? Basically, when our router data is available. All right, for a split second, this might not be available, but when it is, that's when I want to get comments. So up here at the top, before this, I want to make sure if router dot is ready, like that. Okay, so if it's not ready, then return and then get the comments. All right, because this is going to error out otherwise. It's not going to work. So let's bring this back as well. All right, we're still getting the error message. I'm running set all messages here. That's the problem. Oh my God, that's why it kept erroring out, because it should have worked anyway. Even if your array is empty, it should still be fine. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's go in here and set this to message.avatar now. And look at that, we have a comment. That's fantastic. Okay, so we have our image, and then we also have our username here. So let's say h2 message.username. Cool. And then after this div, we'll have a h2 with message.message. Leave a comment, see? Hello there. Submit. So now see, since I don't have on snapshot, you're gonna have to refresh to see the newest comment, basically. There we go. But it's fine. We're just gonna call that function again when we hit submit. So it's gonna be okay. Let's style this up. And so here in our loop, what we want to do is add a class name of bg white, a p of 4, my of 4, border of 2. Let's also add the key to this. So key is going to be message. I don't think we added an ID to this. We'll just do the time. It's fine. It's fine for this case. I mean, you can also push in an ID if you want. So I'm just going to keep it like that. It's all right. Okay. Then here, let's add a class name of flex to this. Item center. Oops, not to this. To this. Class name. Flex, item center. There we go. Gap of 2, MB of 4. All right, just space it out. Let's scale this image down. Width of 10 and rounded of full. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, you don't need too much else really going on. You can add the time as well if you wanna. You can import something like moment to it. But yeah, that's looking good. Okay, if you don't have this here, I ran into some errors where the data wasn't available for some reason. Just add this back in here just as a safety. So it doesn't try to get the comments if you don't have access to the document. Okay, so I basically rewrote this quickly and using snapshots. So you can remove the get comments from here, and that way our state is just fine. So now if we go here, as you can see, we have everything, and I can type something in here and boom, we get a new comment. All right, so that works fine now. We don't have an issue where we have to call it here, we have to call it there. That's kind of the problem if you do just get doc. You get it once, but then it doesn't live update if you modify something in it, but now it does. So there we go. So that's perfect, yay! Copy paste this, we can remove this version. So remember, if you want to just get it once, you do await get doc. All right, if you don't, then do on snapshot. Get rid of that. Let's go here. Perfect. Still an issue on refresh? Yeah, there's still an issue on refresh. I wonder why that is. I wonder if this is a problem. I feel like this use effect. Okay, we don't even need that anymore. I think that's, I don't know what I did with the get doc. I think I did that in the old way. Now you can just call get comments. It's fine. Just ignore, ignore the crap I said before. Oh, never mind. We do have a little error. Oh, what is it now? Okay, yeah, so see from this route data ID, I feel like that route data is not available yet, so it's gonna error out. But we're not getting it on refresh because it's not ready, so it returns it. And then this does never get called again. So let's add a console log here to show it. Console log, let's do it down here. Console log, run this function, right? Cool. Okay, so let's check here. Console, okay. So when we go here, cool, it runs. Perfect, lovely. When we refresh, it takes a second for this to load up, so it just returns and then it doesn't get the comments ever again. So down here we can just say our router is ready. I think that should do it. Yeah, look at that. Let's see, refresh. No way. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. All right, works. Works just fine. Click, click, click. Perfect. All right, so there we go. Hopefully you understand it now because we tried it 10,000 times, but we finally made it work. There we go. So we have all the comments and everything. Yay! Let's also update the text here, and I think we are just about to be done then. So go down here to our index, right? Scroll down here in the comments. I'm gonna say 0 comments, but we are gonna update this based on, yeah, if we have some or if we don't. So, yeah, curly brackets. So if post dot comments dot length, let's just do that. So again, see if it errors out like that, add a question mark there, and then it works fine. Because these don't have comments, so it's gonna have a problem with it. And then, I mean, we can do a check as well and say if post dot comments the length is smaller than 0, there we go, smaller than 0, had a brain fart there, and then say 0. Smaller than 0? If it's bigger than 0, then I want to render this out. Question mark that, else 0. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. And a question mark here too. There we go. Okay, cool. So if post comments length is bigger than 0, then render out the amount of whatever, how long it is. Otherwise 0. So 6. Okay, can go back here, add a comment, and boom, done. There we go. All right, I think that's gonna be it for this one. If you want to push it up to GitHub, you can feel free to do so. Also make sure you go back here in your, what's it called? Git ignore, and make sure you add your, let's quickly push this up, okay? Add .env.local in here so it doesn't push up that file. Okay, and then do git add, git commit, message, done. Wow. And then let's go to our GitHub. Now you can push it up to GitHub, right? Just by adding it to a repository. And then on Vercel, what you can do to deploy this is to add a new one, hit project, continue with GitHub, and then you're gonna have it up here. So you can just hit import, okay? I already did it, so I'm not gonna push it up again. After you have it imported, it's gonna be here. And then to make it work, so here's a live version of mine, as you can see. Other people had comments, I deleted them. But you can go to settings, and before, when you're pushing it up, it's going to ask you for development settings here. And you can add your environment variables. Where is it? Environment variables. Here we go. And then you can do next public app ID and all of that, and just paste it in here and hit save. And then it's going to work live as well. Okay, I think that's going to be it. My God, how long is this video? 3 hours? You better drop a subscribe. Okay, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.